I'm Jeff Fox, and 50 years ago, my wife Josie and I started Fox Racing. You could say that I was enthusiastic about the sport.
History of Fox Racing, starting in 1974 up until the year 2000.
Look at this logo. You know it, I know it. Everyone from a motocross starting gate to a high school parking lot knows it. It's a symbol of speed, of rebellion, of winning. And this billion-dollar empire almost didn't exist. In 1969, a physics professor named Jeff Fox kept parking his clean Honda next to a mud-spattered bike. He finally asked the owner how it got so dirty. That one question, that bit of curiosity about some mud, set off a chain reaction. It pulled him out of the classroom and into a world he never planned to build. Jeff Fox was a physicist, a thinker, a professor at Santa Clara University with a young family. But
I'm Jeff Fox, and what else do you want to know?
But he had a motorcycle habit. He rode with a guy named Ian McLaughlin, a parts manager at a local Yamaha dealer. These two dreamed of starting their own dealership. Jeff didn't have the cash to go all in, but he had enough to help floor the inventory. That's how he became a 49% owner in Grand Prix Cycles.
Grand Prix Cycles was a small motorcycle dealership in Santa Clara originally. Actually, where it came from was there's this fellow named Ian McLaughlin who was working at a Yamaha shop as a parts man.
Now, this was the early 70s. Motocross was exploding in America, but the bikes, especially the European ones, were finicky. Parts were hard to get, manuals were non-existent. Jeff noticed customers struggling with their Czech-made CZ engines. No one could figure out how to fix them. So he did what a physicist does. He took one apart. He photographed every piece. He wrote step-by-step instructions in English.
The catalog, and boom, we're off the races. The first catalogs we did on our kitchen table, basically. We used a typewriter to do the typesetting and the scissors to cut it out. And we actually did a lot of cutting and pasting where we cut with the scissors and we pasted with the glue as opposed to the computers that you do today. I remember the first thing to set it was the free catalog, send $1 for shipping and handling.
He printed a service manual and sold it for $7.50. They sold 5,000 copies.
So I started designing pencil and paper. I manufactured my first shocks in a friend's garage.
That manual was the flashpoint. Jeff saw a bigger opportunity in mail-order parts. His partner Ian wanted to focus on dealerships. Their visions split. In 1973, Jeff Fox bought his way out of Grand Prix Cycles. He bet on himself. He rented a 1,500 square foot warehouse in Campbell, California. He enlisted his dad as a bookkeeper. In February 1974, he opened the doors to the Moto X Fox. It was a mail-order business, a catalog operation. His first big catalog was going to be called Super Trick Shit, but the magazine Cycle News refused to run ads with that name. So he changed it to Super Trick Stuff. The empire of Fox Racing, a brand that would later dress Hollywood stars and sell shirts in malls worldwide, started with a name too raunchy for a motorcycle magazine. The business was hard parts, sprockets, handlebar clamps, shock rebuild kits. Gear was an afterthought. Clothing wasn't the plan. But then in 1975, an ad agency suggested he needed a logo, something for the brand. Jeff agreed and paid an artist named Bob Baptiste $300 to draw something up. Baptiste came back with the head of a fox. That $300 drawing is still on the company's letterhead. It's on hats, helmets, and hoodies across the globe. It might be one of the greatest returns on investment in the history of motorsports. The logo was born. But Fox Racing wasn't a gear company yet, not even close. That change came from a racetrack and from desperation. In 1977, Jeff decided to field a racing team. It was a marketing tool for their suspension parts. The team had riders like a young Mark Barnett. On Monday mornings after a race, the phone would ring at the Fox warehouse. People weren't calling to ask about bike parts. They were calling to ask where they could buy the red, yellow, and orange gear the team was wearing. It didn't take a physics PhD to see the opportunity that represented. The market spoke. Fox listened. He partnered with a factory in Finland and started making gear. The Moto X Fox Team kit became their first product line, but the road was never smooth. The aftermarket shock business, their original core, collapsed at the end of the 70s. Sales dropped from 10,000 pairs to 1,000. His brother Bob, who ran the separate Fox factory shock business, had to diversify into cars and bikes to survive. This pressure forced a decisive split within the family. Jeff and Bob had always operated under the same Fox name, but the collapsing shock market made that untenable. They made a tough choice to formally separate into two independent companies. Jeff's Moto X Fox would chase the apparel demand full-time. Bob's Fox factory would focus on suspension.
Dave here from Fox, and today we're going to talk about springs. Springs act alongside dampers to absorb bumps and keep your tires in contact with the road.
They intentionally built different missions for different customers. This is why two Fox logos exist today. For decades, most fans saw the Fox head and assumed it was one brand. Jeff had a choice: stay with the parts or follow the riders. He chose apparel. That pivot saved the company, but it also meant entering the arena against the king of the mountain, JT Racing. In the early 80s, JT was untouchable. They had the coolest gear, the biggest stars. They owned Southern California.
Weekend so far with the induction of John and Rita Gregory into the AMA Hall of Fame, and we also have the launching of the new JT products.
Fox was an underdog, a Northern California parts guy trying to make jerseys. Jeff Fox used a simple strategy. If JT owned the cool kids at the cool tracks, he would go everywhere else. He signed Mark Barnett from Illinois. He signed David Bailey from Virginia. He focused on the heartland. Behind the scenes, those years were brutal. Fox was spending money to stay visible in a sport that wasn't rewarding them for it. Racing teams cost cash. Travel cost cash. Manufacturing gear that didn't sell fast enough tied up cash. Every season they stayed relevant without breaking through was a gamble. There were no guarantees this would work. Fox wasn't a lifestyle brand yet. They didn't have mall sales to fall back on. If apparel didn't catch, there was no second pivot waiting. The company lived in the narrow space between belief and collapse. That pressure forced discipline. Fox couldn't afford to chase trends or guess wrong. Every dollar spent had to matter. By the mid-80s, Fox wasn't just hoping for a star. They'd built a team sharp enough to recognize one the second he walked through the door. The 1980s rolled on. Fox was steady. They had good riders, but they lacked that lightning-in-a-bottle combination of a superstar and a signature style. Then, in 1985, a 15-year-old kid walked into the Fox offices with a big idea. That kid was Pete Fox, Jeff's youngest son.
So are we started?
We're rolling. Pete Fox, everybody. So
Pete lobbied hard for his dad to sign a young, fiery rider named Ricky Johnson. Ricky was fast, charismatic, and had a look. Pete was so sure, he traveled on his own to meet with Ricky and convince him. They signed him. At the time, Pete's older brother Greg dropped out of college and joined the business full-time. Pete and Greg rented an apartment half a mile from the office and lived and breathed Fox.
John or Greg, one of my brothers was really into surf videos and wanted us to do stuff.
This is when the DNA of the company shifted. It was no longer just a businessman and a factory. It was a family of moto kids who understood the culture. Pete moved into design, and in 1986, he blew the doors off. Ricky Johnson's 1986 Fox gear was a revolution. The colors were brighter, the designs were cleaner, more aggressive. The stadium jersey, the flag colors, it all felt modern. It felt like winning. They introduced the Comp 2 boot, made by Alpine Stars. It looked better than anything they'd had before.
In 1988, I wanted to try something new and exciting with motocross gear.
Suddenly, Fox wasn't just competing with JT, they were challenging them. But Pete wasn't done. In 1988, he had Ricky Johnson pose as Auguste Rodin's The Thinker for a boot ad.
So I went out there to shoot pictures really for the catalog and an ad.
Ricky, shirtless, staring into the distance. It was bold. It was art. It was nothing anyone in motocross had ever done. The company received letters from shocked parents. They vowed never to buy Fox again. But for everyone else, it was iconic. It said Fox was confident, fearless, and stylish. Then Pete went further. He designed a new line of race pants called Image. The standout pattern was a pink and blue zebra stripe. In 1988, he put the sport's hardest charger in pink zebra stripe pants.
So I created a design for zebra print gear. It was risky, but I knew with guys like Johnson and Bradshaw wearing it that people were going to love it.
and Bradshaw takes the checkered flag.
Better. I like the win with dirt on my number plate. It makes me feel a lot better.
To me, it was a symbol of like the attitude, kind of like the.
It was a massive gamble. They could have looked like fools. Instead, they looked like geniuses. The Zebra gear accounted for 50% of their sales in 1989. It's still their best-selling gear pattern of all time. And this was only the beginning of Pete's impact. Pete Fox became the defining gear designer for the next 25 years. His work shaped the look of entire racing eras. You saw his vision on Ricky Johnson. You saw it evolve with Jeremy McGrath's clean lines and bold colors. You saw it adapt for the explosive style of Travis Pastrana and James Stewart.
So when James Stewart burst on the scene, it was obvious that he should wear it too.
James Bubba Stewart running 259 in the retro gear in honor of Fox's 30th anniversary.
For me, Zebra represents innovation, fearlessness, and individuality.
His philosophy shifted motocross gear design. He moved brands toward cleaner silhouettes and bolder color blocks. This modern styling set the standard. Other companies spent years trying to copy it. This consistent design leadership did more than sell pants. It made Fox the aesthetic leader in motocross. Pete's visual fingerprints are on the sport itself.
Whether it's ego or self-identity, my purpose, fucking gone.
What most people never saw was how Fox operated behind the scenes. Riders weren't treated like walking ads. They were part of the development process. Feedback didn't disappear into meetings or next year catalogs. It moved fast, straight from the track to the people cutting patterns and changing materials. If gear failed, restricted movement, or didn't hold up under race conditions, it was addressed immediately, sometimes within the same season. That responsiveness mattered. Riders trusted Fox because they knew their input shaped the product, not just the marketing. That system became Fox's safety net, and it was about to matter. At the peak of their momentum, they lost Ricky Johnson. Factory Honda wanted control over his gear sponsorship, and Ricky moved to JT in 1989. Losing your flagship athlete could destroy a brand's momentum, but Fox had been building for this. They'd cultivated young talent. When Johnson left, the spotlight fell on a wild teenage sensation named Damon Bradshaw, the beast from the East. Bradshaw was 17, brash, and incredibly fast. His attitude was a perfect match for Fox's daring designs. He became the new face. But the 90s brought a new kind of threat: money. In 1991, rival brand Axo offered Damon Bradshaw 7 times what Fox was paying him. They offered Jeff Matiasevich, their other star, a huge deal too. They both left. Fox was devastated. Their top talent bought out from under them. Greg Fox later said their top pro in 1992 was national number 27, Ray Somo. All the big names were gone. This was a crisis. They had the brand heat, but they didn't have the star power on the track. They needed a new plan. They looked down, not at the current pros, but at the amateurs. They started signing kids. They built relationships early. They focused on the next generation. Over the course of the 1990s, that pipeline quietly filled with future stars: Robbie Reynard, Ricky Carmichael, James Stewart, Travis Pastrana.
I'm Ricky Carmichael. I'm the winningest motocross racer of all time. 150 wins, 16 championships, and they call me the GOAT.
They were just kids on 80cc bikes, but Fox saw the future. At the same time, the present finally caught up. In 1995, Factory Honda made its choice. Fox would outfit Jeremy McGrath, Doug Henry, and Steve Lamson. McGrath was the king, the most popular rider in the world. Now he was wearing the Fox head. It was a seal of approval from the very top. John Fox, the youngest brother, grew up racing, but he was also into skateboarding and surfing. He watched videos from brands like Powell Peralta's Bones Brigade. He saw how those videos built an entire lifestyle around a sport. In 1994, he had an idea: make a motocross video that wasn't about racing. Make it about riding, about fun, about the lifestyle. He directed, edited, and picked the music for a film called Terrafirma.
So the original Terrafirma was super loose.
It was different. It showed the pros, McGrath, Henry, Reynard, playing in the dunes, jumping hills, just having fun. It had a killer soundtrack. It had humor. The moto world had never seen anything like it. Fox's initial production run was 5,000 copies. They sold out in 10 days. Terrafirma would eventually sell 65,000 copies. Its sequel, Terrafirma 2, sold 85,000. These videos weren't just product catalogs, they were inspiration. They defined what it meant to be a motocross rider in the 90s. They sold a dream, and the Fox logo was stitched onto every frame. The brand was now inseparable from the culture. The logo on a jersey meant you were part of this world. But with growth came new tensions, new conflicts. Baggy clothing and freeride style were becoming huge in the late 90s. Greg Fox believed Fox Racing should expand into that space. Pete Fox, the designer, felt strongly that Fox should remain a hardcore, race-focused moto brand. Their compromise was to create an entirely new brand. In 1997, they launched Shift. Shift was the baggy, freeride lifestyle side of the equation. They signed Jeff Emig, who promptly won the 1997 Supercross and Motocross titles. They had Seth Enslow doing freestyle. Fox now had two arms, one for the pure racer, one for the new school rider. While racing pushed Fox forward, something even bigger was happening off the track. The Foxhead logo exploded into mainstream culture. You could find Fox apparel and hats in malls, surf shops, and clothing stores across America. Teenagers wore the logo even if they'd never ridden a dirt bike. It became a fashion symbol, a badge of the action sports lifestyle that was going mainstream. The surge generated massive lifestyle revenue. It turned Fox into a household brand. The company was no longer just a moto specialist, it was a cultural icon. This kind of success attracts buyers. For decades, Fox Racing was a family-run, privately held company. They answered to themselves. That changed in 2014 when the company was acquired by Altamont Capital Partners. Then, in July 2022, it was announced that Fox Racing would be acquired by Vista Outdoor for $540 million. In 2023, Vista began integrating other brands like Bell and Giro into a new action sports division with Fox at the center. The Fox family was no longer in charge. The company was part of a large corporate portfolio. That shift didn't start in a boardroom. It started inside the company. In 2017, Pete Fox stepped away. He'd driven the brand's design for over 30 years. His departure marked the true end of the family era.
I don't think he even told my brother. He probably would assume it, but yeah, I was definitely, after the company sold and stuff, I was fucking depressed. I was not happy.
He announced his exit publicly, reflecting on how his father's small parts shop had become a global icon. For employees and longtime fans, this moment held more weight than any corporate filing. The soul of the company, the direct line from Jeff's garage to Pete's design studio, had officially changed hands. For many fans, this is where the story gets complicated. When a beloved, homegrown brand gets bought by a big corporation, something feels lost. The soul of the thing seems at risk. But look at what kept happening. The athletes kept winning, the gear kept evolving. In 2024, Fox Racing celebrated its 50th anniversary. They launched a special collection, reaffirming a three-part vision pulled from their history. Honor yesterday, conquer today, invent tomorrow. They even evolved their iconic logo, a subtle refinement for a new era. Fox kept pushing boundaries in the 2010s and 2020s. They weren't coasting on nostalgia. The Instinct boot became a top-tier performance standard. The V3 helmet introduced MVRS magnetic visor release for better safety. Flex Air gear redefined lightweight, stretch-fit racewear. In November 2025, they announced a multi-year deal with Haiden Deegan, the sport's newest, most electric star. They launched his Danger signature collection, stamped with his attitude. Deegan's first time lining up on a 450 came wearing Fox. From Ricky Johnson to Jeremy McGrath to Ricky Carmichael to Haiden Deegan, the lineage of Fox athletes reads like the history of the sport itself. The chase, as their 50th anniversary message said, never ends. So what is Fox Racing today? Is it the family-run dream of a physics professor? Is it the corporate asset of a large holding company? The answer is both, and that's the tension at the heart of any brand that survives for 5 decades. The soul of Fox was forged in that 1974 warehouse in the gamble on zebra stripes. in the creation of Terrafirma. That soul lives in the archives, in the stories, and in the loyalty of riders who grew up with the Fox head on their chest. The body of Fox is a global enterprise. Its supply chains, marketing budgets, quarterly earnings, and flagship stores. It has to conquer today and invent tomorrow to survive in a competitive market. The magic happens when the soul guides the body. When a designer remembers what made a kid want a Ricky Johnson jersey in 1988 and uses that feeling to create Haiden Deegan's kit in 2025. When the marketing taps into that raw, emotional connection to riding, not just to selling a product. So where do you land on Fox? Did they evolve the right way, or did something get lost along the chase? Drop your take in the comments, and if you want more stories about the riders, brands, and moments that shaped motocross culture, watch the video on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and stay wicked.